Hi, my name is Kwame Rowe. I was recently appointed by Governor Gretchen Whitmer as an Oakland County Circuit Court judge. I just took the oath of office on Friday, August 13th, 2021. I'm in my early 30s, second young black male to sit on the bench in Oakland County, and I can't wait to get started and get the work done.
How do you want me to refer to you? As Kwame or Judge Rowe? Like, how does this even work?
Man, it was really whatever. Like, I'm not in my official capacity as a judge, but I'm doing an interview as a judge. So, yeah, you refer to me as Judge Rowe in my official capacity.
You my mans. You my boy Kwame.
Yeah.
Judge Rowe. Yo, like, we came up together. We went to high school together at Pontiac Northern. I had an opportunity to meet you like around like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
Getting ready to enter high school.
Yep, before I went to high school.
Just start off by telling me a little bit of what it was like for you growing up, early life.
Yeah. Well, my early life, as you know, man, I didn't have the easiest life growing up, so it was a little difficult. I had a lot of things going on in my life. Where I grew up at, where you actually met me at, was on the east side of Detroit, out there in 48205, which we call the red zone of Detroit. Pretty dangerous area, stuff always going on, people always in trouble. I was going to Osborne High School. Actually, I was getting ready to enter Osborne High School at the time. And Osborne High School was one of those places that you go to and you know you are in the hood. Man, you get there and you already know what's going on there. And so just the area, man, the exposure, the drugs, the gangs, the gun violence, that's how I grew up. I grew up in the streets. So I grew up around other people, you know, that weren't always doing the best thing. I grew up around people where it was tough. And so I grew up going to drug houses as a kid, not because I was seeking the drugs, because family members were seeking the drugs. And I remember telling people that, man, I'm coming back to these houses. I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna kick in these doors, and I'm taking care of all the drugs. Like, and so that was my goal as a kid, man. I wanted to be a police officer, kick in all the doors, get all the drug dealers off the street, get the people that were being harmful to family off the street, man.
Wow. And did that motivate you to want to go to law school? If not, or what else encouraged you to say, hey, after high school, this is what I'm going to do?
So it was really two-part. One, I always had the need and the feeling that I wanted to help people. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to help people be better than what they are, better than who they are. And that was my goal. I always wanted to help people. So I thought the best way at the time as a kid, my best way to help people is by going and joining the police force. And so it wouldn't be, you know, it was my granddad. My granddad came to me and said, "No, you don't need to be a police officer. You're too smart." He said, "Nothing against police officers, but you're too smart. You're way too smart." He was a Detroit fireman, and he got all the way up to captain. He was a fireman from 1989, as long as I can remember. It's probably before 1989 even. And he told me, he said, "I work with a police officer. Do something, use your brain." He said, "Why don't you be a lawyer?" And at that time, I was only about 7 years old, and so I started saying, okay, maybe I should be a lawyer. And then I wanted to be a lawyer to help people. I never wanted to go into corporation law and fight over money. That didn't interest me. I didn't want to go into environmental law and fight over the environment. That didn't interest me. I wanted to do something where I could help people. And so I figured that, criminal law, I would have an impact on a person's life every day as a criminal attorney. So then it begged the question of which side? Do I go on the defense side or do I become a prosecutor? And for me, the more research I did, the more impact I saw the criminal justice system having on family members and on friends. I understood that the prosecutor held the most power. They held the most power out of all the legal people that were there. So out of all the lawyers, prosecutors hold the most power over anyone's life, because they get to decide how you're going to be charged. They get to decide what charges are going to be dismissed, if any. They get to decide to charge you with mandatory minimum charges. And so at that time I said, okay, I'm going to be a prosecutor. That's what I want to do. And at an early age, I put it in my mind, I'm going to law school, I'm going to be a prosecutor, I'm going to help people. And so really, to sum up the answer to your question, it was really my granddad pushing me, man. He really pushed me and said, hey, this is what you should do.
Wow. And after high school, what was that experience like, going to law school, starting to learn about everything you wanted to do since a little kid? Just walk us through the law school, what it was like for you.
Okay. So before I got to law school, you got to go through college first.
So it's different. It's not the same.
Yeah, so I went to Michigan State University. I was in James Madison College. I double majored in political theory, constitutional democracy, and social relations and policy. Those were my two double majors in James Madison, which is known as one of the most difficult colleges in the United States. So they breed FBI agents, they breed judges, lawyers, CIA agents, NSA agents. They breed some of the best out of all the United States. They've bred Supreme Court justice, Michigan Supreme Court justice, United States Supreme Court justice. So to go into James Madison College was difficult to get in. They only accept about 300, at least at the time I went there, they only accepted about 300 students a year from all over the world, not just the United States, not just Michigan, but from all over the world. So I was one of the individuals to get accepted there. College was not easy, man. I will never talk down about my school that I went to. As you said, we went to Pontiac Northern, but I was not adequately prepared to do the things that they required me to do, especially in the area of math. I was not prepared in math. So I really needed to brush up on my math. I was put in remedial math. I had to take several remedial math classes. I continued to just work my way through college, man. One of the things that also didn't make it easy for me when I was in college is that my ninth grade freshman year, I had my first child. So I had my first child when I was a freshman in college. So I really had to work hard. So I was taking between 12 to 16 credit hours every semester. I went fall, summer, spring. I never took any time off. I ended up graduating early from James Madison College because I never took time off. And then I worked two jobs at the same time. So I was working at Applebee's. I was working at the state legislature as a legislative aide. I was an intern for Speaker of the House, Andy Dillon. Then I was a legislative aide for Representative Tim Melton, who was over Pontiac and Auburn Hills. And then all of that together. And I would be remiss if I skip over this, but before getting to college, right before going to college that summer, I had an internship with General Motors that I was able to get through my interactions with the deans at Cooley Law School, who actually came out to Pontiac Northern to talk to us about street law. And one of the deans really took an interest in me and was able to connect me with who at the time, E. Christopher Johnson. He was the North American Counsel for GM, which means he was the top attorney for all North America for General Motors. And so he became my personal mentor. And throughout that entire process, just working, going through college, taking classes, and we're not talking about easy classes, we're talking about some of the most rigorous classes that's offered in the United States. And I got through. And I took the LSAT. And when I took the LSAT, I did not do well. My GPA wasn't the highest because, again, you have to remember, I was working nonstop. I was literally sleeping 3 hours a night. And because I was only sleeping 3 hours a night, it started taking a toll on my health.
It actually took a toll on you, on your health. What was it that took a toll on your health?
So just the stress, the not sleeping, the constant running, the not eating properly, not taking care of myself caused me to start having multiple severe asthma attacks back to back to back to back, where I was in the hospital every other month intubated. When I say intubated, that means put on a respirator. They put me in temporary coma, medical coma, because I was running myself into the ground. But, I continued to do that because I thought what's more important, and I continue to believe was more important, is taking care of my family. And so I just kept going, kept going, kept going. I took that LSAT, did not do well. My GPA wasn't that high. And the second time I took the LSAT, I took it twice. Cooley Law School actually came back to me and said, hey, you didn't score high. However, for students that have your writing abilities, we have a special program. It's called the PEP program. It's an intensive 1-week program. If you can make it through this program, we'll accept you into the law school. And so I did that program. I graduated from that program at the top of my class, got my acceptance letter from Cooley Law School. Then I started going to law school. So I didn't get into law school the traditional way. You go score high on tests, you got the amazing GPA. Did not do that. I went a different route that I had to go through because of my low LSAT score. And I didn't have a low GPA, but it wasn't the GPA that's normally required for law students. So I started at Cooley Law School, defied all odds at Cooley Law School. So because I was a PEP student, because I didn't score high on the LSAT, I was supposed to fill out my first semester and my second semester. I wasn't supposed to make it through. And I made it through. I actually had over a 3.0 GPA that starting off that first semester. I think I had a 3.17 or 3.2, somewhere around there. I wasn't supposed to have those scores. I excelled in every law school class. I showed them that, I didn't need a high LSAT score to get into law school. I didn't need a high GPA score to perform well in law school. And I did just that. I performed well in law school. Participated in a lot of competitions, criminal law competitions, trial competitions. I like to say that I'm the criminal law, it's the best student mock trial award. I was awarded best litigator throughout the law school. So what that means, I became a really good trial attorney. At the time, I actually met my mentor, and transitioning, I was still in law school, met my mentor, former boss, and the person who I took his place on the bench is Leo Bowman. Met him at a barbershop. Just met him at a barbershop. My barber kept saying, hey man, you got to meet this guy. You got to meet this guy. And I finally did. He invited me out to the court. I started as his intern, then eventually became his clerk. And the rest is history, man. I went from being his clerk to a prosecutor. And so I used everything I learned as being a clerk. He was a criminal civil judge, so I was able to see all the criminal prosecutors come in and practice, all the defense attorneys come in and practice. I was able to see them before I even became an attorney, and I studied them and studied the craft, because law is a craft. It's something that you work on every day, something that you get better on every day. And so I just started to craft and craft and craft, and I got into the prosecutor's office and went up from there. I started off in warrants, went into the juvenile justice division, went from juvenile justice to district court, went from the district court division doing general cases such as misdemeanors, speeding tickets, preliminary exam felonies, going to be a special prosecutor in the narcotics section. And so it was full circle for me because, again, as a kid, all I wanted to do was get all those drug dealers off the streets. So I became a narcotics prosecutor. And I was a special prosecutor working narcotics cases from the bottom up. And I went from being a special prosecutor in narcotics to being a special prosecutor in our trafficking section, handling human trafficking cases, homicide, and narcotics still. And so I became a really good trial attorney. I know I became a good trial attorney based on, I always got feedback. Hey, I spoke to Judge such and such, and they said, wow, you just blew them away in trial. I saw you in trial, and I just want to say, wow, you have to be one of the best trial attorneys I've met. And it gave me confidence, more confidence and more confidence, to the point where I felt like I could walk into any courtroom and that I was a person to be reckoned with in the courtroom, and still believe I'm the same way.
Wow, man. Shout out to the barber, by the way. Whoever this barber is that kept saying, yo, you gotta meet Judge Bowman. You gotta meet Judge Bowman. Like, shout out to the barber for, even acknowledging that. So went to college, Michigan State, then went to Cooley Law School, and then you began all the different work that you did as an attorney. What was it like for you to graduate college and Cooley Law School? Something that a lot of people, a lot of young black men don't get a chance to do, or young men that do it are the first in a family to graduate college or law school. Like, what was that like for you? Were you the first in the family? Were you the first in the city to graduate from law school? You know what I mean? Like, well, not the city, but the community that you're from, the neighborhood. What was that like?
So I was the first in my immediate family to go to college. So my mom, dad hadn't gone to college at the time, but one of the cool things about this, when I went off to college, my mom went off to college. She said, if you can do it, I can do it. And so she said, you inspired me to go off to college. And so when I left and went off to college, so did she. And so I don't know if I'm the first or if I did it jointly, because we pretty much did it at the same time. And so that was really cool to see my mom go through that process with me. What I will say from my community, I wasn't the first to go to college. A lot of times people think that when you're from a community like Pontiac that you don't make it, you don't do well, or no. When I went off to college, I had close friends that went off to college. There's people that went off to college with me that are now doctors, psychologists. There are fraud investigators. There are people that are doing their thing with videography. There are people from all walks of life that I went to school with. So I won't say that I think I'm the first judge from our age group, but I wouldn't say that, because there's another lawyer, Jeremy Bowie. We graduated Pontiac Northern together. We graduated Michigan State together. We graduated Cooley Law School together. We were both assistant prosecutors. I was in Oakland. He was in Wayne. We're a year apart. So there's people that have taken the same path. Evan Ford, same. We went to Northern together, went to Michigan State together, went to Cooley together. She's an attorney now, and if I'm not mistaken, she's an assistant prosecutor in Wayne. And so I'm unique in a way that I became a judge, but I don't think I'm unique in a way that from the hard work that comes from our city. So that's not unique to me.
What was the conversation like? How did the conversation come up about you taking on the role circuit court judge in Oakland County? How did that conversation even come about?
Yeah, so I'm the fourth black judge in Oakland County. I'm the second black male judge in Oakland County, and I'm currently the only sitting black male judge in Oakland County. And it was more of a private conversation. I won't get too much into it, but I will say that somebody very important approached me and said, hey man, this is your time. I said, no, I'm enjoying being a prosecutor. I love what I do. I love, but this person's like, no, you gotta apply. You gotta try. And if it's your time, it's your time. And so I did. And I didn't just apply to apply. I applied and I worked my behind off. I worked and worked and worked. I contacted everybody I could contact. I got in touch with the people that I need to get in touch with. And I really just worked my behind off for it. So the conversation was different conversation with my wife, where I was like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And it wasn't, oh, don't you do this, it's not going to work. Okay, do it, go for it. And so I started really building that foundation, and I made it. So,
wow, man. Who are some people that you saw, maybe black judges, or not even, black or other races or ethnicities that you admire, that you look up to in the field that you work in?
Yeah, obviously Judge Leo Bowman, Judge Denise Langford Moore. She was the first black person on the Oakland County Circuit Court bench. She's still sitting there today, and she's been sitting on that bench for 29 years. And she doesn't look a day over 35, so it's amazing. But I really look up to her. Judge Kamisha Gant, who was the second black female to sit on the bench, I definitely look up to her. Judge Deborah Nance, Judge Walker. Judge Walker has known me since I was about 15 years old. She's in the 50th District Court, and she really worked with me as a kid. Everything that was youth in government, she was there. Every time somebody needed something, she was there, and she continues to be there. And then just looking at some of the other judges that aren't around here, Judge Ewell, not Neville Ewell, but Judge Ewell in Third Circuit. He's my mentor right now. There's so many people that I'd be remiss in not naming them all, but I apologize for whoever I missed. But there's just so many people, and I always say I couldn't have done any of this without Miss Lois Williams, who was the first black female attorney from the city of Pontiac. She's the very first one, and I say I couldn't do it without her because she's the one that got me on track when I was a knucklehead. So I couldn't have done any of this without her. And then outside of the legal profession, just coaches, Coach Nelson, just so many people had an impact on me that I can't even name them all.
Wow, man! Shout out to all the coaches. Shout out to all those who you look up to, man. Like what you're doing, bro, is big for our community. It's big for our city. It's big for our state. You know what I'm saying? It's big because we don't see a lot of us make it to judge. You know what I mean? And you make all of us proud, bro.
Appreciate
all
it.
of us proud. What was it like to sit on that bench when you were sworn in? What was that ceremony like? What were the feelings? What were the emotions that was flowing through you as you swore that oath and you sat on that bench for the first time?
I would say it was not a dry eye in the room, which made it difficult for me to keep the dry eyes, but it was very emotional because it was so powerful to just see and hear all the people that I've impacted over the years. Because like I don't look for anything in return, but to just hear how many people I impacted over the years, how many people lives I touched just from being me. It was nothing that you hear me talking now, I don't think I did anything unique or different. I was just always myself, and to hear like, wow, myself is something different than other people. It was very touching to just stand there. And when I took the oath, I stood there and I held my wife's hand, and I held her hand with my left hand, and I raised my right hand to take the oath. And it was very powerful and impactful to be able to stand there next to my wife and say, hey, I'm the next circuit court judge in Oakland County. It was amazing. And then to not only stand there with my wife, but to have my mom actually put the robe on me, to officially put the robe on me for the first time. It was touching, man. Like it meant a lot for me to just have her there and to be able to put that robe on and to see the tears and the pride coming from her, and just pure happiness. You want to know what pure happiness is? That's pure happiness.
That's what's up, man. I'm sure that after you were sworn in, like, what was that like? Did anything change for you? Just the amount of calls, phone calls, texts, congratulations. I'm sure everybody want to do an interview with you. How did things change, or how fast did it change once, the first article might have came out, or the post on social media came out? How did that affect you?
It was a complete 180 from how my life normally is. You know me personally, that no one knows. I'm very quiet. I stick to myself. I have my close friends that I hang out with, and that's it. And the news went out about 3 weeks ago. That's when the governor officially did the press release and I could share it with everyone. And my phone, when that press release went out, before I could even look at my phone, I was sitting in my office at the prosecutor's office. I had a line from my door all the way down the hall just from fellow prosecutors coming, just wanting to say congratulations. My phone just started nonstop vibrating. It literally started to get hot on the back of my phone because it wouldn't stop vibrating from all the texts, from all the emails, from all the calls. 3 weeks later, I'm still getting a bunch of texts, a bunch of calls, a bunch of emails, messages, and I can't answer everyone. I'm getting pulled from left to right, and I won't say it as a negative thing because I'm not going to complain. This is what I asked for. I'm a public servant, and now I'm out in the public. And so I kind of expected this, so I would never complain about it. But I've been asked to do interviews here, do interviews there, be on the radio show here, do this, come speak. I'm doing a commencement speech for my law school, which is amazing. I've been just pulled everywhere in a good way, but just trying to keep that going, trying to stay motivated, and communicate with the people, because a lot of the times the community, they don't know what judges do. For our community, it's almost impossible to even touch a judge, to see what they do, to reach out and shake their hand, because everything becomes so closed, and there's rules that, I can't do everything, but I want to be more transparent, let people know what's going on in the courthouse, what's going on in the courtroom, to the extent that I can, that's allowed by the judicial ethics. Be out in the community. There is nothing that forbids judges from being out in the community, as long as it's not for a specific political purpose, because I can't be for one way or the other. I have to maintain my impartialness. But yes, man, it's been busy with all the calls, all the texts, all the emails. And luckily, I have a secretary who now filters some of the things through, which is helpful. But again, it's nothing but a blessing.
That's what's up, man. How many have you done so far, interviews?
This will be my first interview since I put on that robe the first time. So this will be my first. I have others coming up, but yeah, this is the first one since I put on the robe.
You heard it here first, people. You heard it right here. Judge Rowe for the people. Awesome, man. What are you looking forward to? I know it's a lot of work. I know it's a lot of energy that it takes to go through the process you're going through. What are you most excited about with this new position as judge? What are you excited about the most?
Making a change, transparency, bringing a person to the court. As you see, I'm not in a shirt and tie. I'm not in a suit. Because I'm a person. I get tired just like everybody else. I want to relax and put on something comfortable just like anyone else. And I want to bring change to the bench. We all know that mass incarceration is an issue. We have to cut back on that, start investing in our treatment courts, trying to get people help, trying to offer probation where I can. There are just some offenses that I have to enforce the law because that's my job. But where I can help people, I want to help people. And I want to make 1200 North Telegraph not be the place that when you mention that, it's a scary place. I want to at least be a friendly face in there, even if I'm not ruling in your favor, even if you're like, oh man, I might have to go to jail or prison today. I want to be respectful. I want to make sure that you know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I want everything to make sense. What they say, make it make sense, right? Anything that you come in and you do with me, I want it to make sense. Even if you don't agree with it. And I want you to come out feeling like a person. I don't want you to come out feeling like a number that's just been pushed through the system. I want you to come out feeling like a person that this judge actually listened to my side. He listened to my words. He took it in consideration, even if it's not in your favor. And so that's the job, man. That's what I want to do, and that's my goal.
That's what's up, man. to any young person from the hood, any young person, any young black person that don't know what to do with their life, who don't feel like they're capable of succeeding. They might be afraid of success. What kind of advice would you give to them?
Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. That's the biggest piece of advice I can give. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it. Follow your dream. I was told that I shouldn't go to law school because I didn't get a high LSAT score. I didn't have the highest GPA. Don't go to law school. Don't do it. I was told, oh, don't try to become a judge. You're too young. You're this and you're that. Don't try to become a judge. Don't listen. Don't let them tell you can't do it. Be you, do what you want to do, and just keep your head down and keep working.
B-Rutpro.com. Log on.
Right here.